right, guys. Happy Monday. Welcome. The reason the desks are like this today and not exactly in rows is because everybody needs to see the board. And so we kind of had to make it a little bit like stadium. Tomorrow it'll be all spread out, okay, and it'll look a little bit different. But yes, this is to get kind of used to what it'll look like. You do need two different colored pencils, a calculator. Eventually, yeah, you'll need your phone and a laptop, but definitely those pieces today. Okay, just some housekeeping things. On Wednesday and Thursday, so tomorrow, you guys are going to be taking your big assessment for Chapter 7. You're going to be taking your short cycle for Chapter 7. And then on Wednesday, Thursday, the room is going to look very different. You're going to be doing your first true station day, and it'll be different than the stations that you're used to. And so some expectations. In 2 of the stations, there will not be a teacher. You'll be expected to work independently. And so we're really looking to see, like, can you work independently? You're going to be watching a video, doing an activity, watching a video, taking notes, those kind of things. And so we're really looking at who's able to do those kind of things independently. You're going to be turning in things for every station that you do. But that's what it'll look like for the rest of this week. So assessment tomorrow, station day Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday we're going to wrap everything up and see what questions you still have. And also, speaking of responsibilities, when I first started at Laramie High School, the only people that were allowed to leave during your I&E blocks were seniors. And so it was a big debate whether we should allow freshmen, sophomores, and juniors to also leave early on Friday afternoons if they're passing everything. And so you used to have to go to a class, check in with the teacher. You used to have to get your grades checked. And we decided it's time that you guys can handle it. So please be responsible with this that we're giving to you, okay? Because we don't want to have to go back to babysitting mode. Because if it doesn't work, then you guys are going to end up staying for Friday afternoons. So be responsible. If you're failing a class, get to that class. If you need some extra help, get to that class on Friday afternoons. That's what it's designed for, okay? Trust me, I don't want to go back to babysitting, which is not fun. You guys are young adults, you can handle it. Yes, ma'am. I do not have mechanical pencils. Okay, what we're doing today, guys, is we are wrapping up Chapter 7. Now, before pandemic times, one of the things that we noticed about math, especially at the high school level, is it builds on itself. And so what you do in this class, you're going to see again in geometry, Algebra 2, Algebra 3 with trig. In fact, my Algebra 3 with trig students use more of this second semester, Algebra 1, than any other piece of information. So one of the things we noticed as students went on is that they would get to geometry and be like, oh, lines. Well, I remember a little bit about lines, but I don't know, what's slope? Or they get to Algebra 3 with trig and they're like, exponential. I think it has something to do with exponents, but we don't know. And so what we decided as a math department is that all students are going to start creating math folders, which you would then take with you to every class. So when you get to a subject, you already have notes. Now, in the past, you guys made actual folders and we would give this to you the next year and you would just keep adding on to it. But because of COVID, we did not have you guys build these like this. You started building them virtually. And so we're going to continue with you, and we're not in this class at the beginning of the year. Don't worry, we'll show you how to build your virtual folder so you can go next year and look at your virtual folder, okay? All right, so these notes that we're taking today, they are not just, you can use them tomorrow, but they're not just for tomorrow. You are taking them so in 2 years from now, in 3 years from now, you can look back on these notes and remember what you did March 29th, 2021. We're going to make them very clear. We're going to write a bunch of stuff out. Now, before you guys were watching videos of doing this, and some of you just skipped the video to the end and just copied the notes quick. but you weren't actually participating in it. And so that's what we're going to do today. So chapter 7 is all about exponential equations. So before we start, I'm going to have you write out the formula. Okay? Now, you were asked to get 2 different colored pencils for a reason. Your brain loves color. Your brain remembers color very easily, okay? Anything sensory you can do with your notes, the better. I had a student who in college, when she had a bunch of science classes, she would chew a different flavored gum in each class. So like in biology, she would choose watermelon. And so when she'd study, she would chew watermelon. When she took final, she chewed watermelon flavored gum. And that just helps your brain remember, oh, I'm in biology. Here's all the things I need to remember. It really does work, okay? All right, what does the A? So choose one of your colors. What does the A stand for in this lovely problem?
The 0 point.
Yeah, the 0 point. I'm going to call it the starting point, and then I'm going to use what Haley has suggested, and I'm going to put in the 0. I'm looking for when x equals 0. That is the starting point. When x is 0, y is going to be some number. I don't know, a. Now remember, I know you guys are like, oh, I know a is the starting point. I got it. This is not for tomorrow. This is for May, when you guys start studying for the final. This is for 2 years from now when you're in Algebra 2, okay? What is the B? So using your other color, what is your B? Yeah, good, Spencer, multiplier. Now, it doesn't matter if you have orange and blue like me. What matters is that you're going to use these 2 colors throughout these notes. You're going to start labeling the multiplier blue and the starting point orange or whatever colors you've designated. Keep the color pattern going throughout your notes. Trust me, it'll make things a lot easier when you start looking at this in a couple months, couple years. Okay. So this is going to be what you're tested on tomorrow. Can you show us that you can write an equation of an exponential given any form of the problem? What do I mean by any form? Well, let's take a look at the first one, the table form. So if your presented information is a table, can you write y equals ab to the x? Okay, so now here's what we have to figure out. I'm in a table. How are you going to figure out the multiplier? All right, so see if you guys can figure out that part. I'm just looking for what do you multiply 12.5 by to get to 78.125? Notice, not nice numbers. How do we do that? And you'll see me when I use my colors and when I use my pencil. Hey, I'm getting a lot of you writing this, which I agree with. Now, for some reason, tomorrow when you guys walk in the room and the desks are spaced out and in rows, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's test day. Heart starts racing, your mind goes blank, and you're like, I forgot everything about chapter 7. Well, this is why you're taking these notes. If you get confused on how to find the multiplier, what can you do? Oh, I heard it. Can't you work backwards? So this is what I mean by taking notes for a year from now. Okay, so I'm going to be doing all these little asterisks all over this page. These little, hey, remember, to find the multiplier. Okay, to find the multiplier, work backwards. So I can work backwards, which means I'm going to be dividing. I draw it in my table and I make myself a little note. So if you didn't get 6.25, here's where it comes from. I'm going to take 78.125 divided by 12.5, and that's where I get that 6.25. Now you'll notice I haven't put anything into blue yet, right? Because while 6.25 is a multiplier, it's not the multiplier I need. You always need the small jump. So here's the question. How can you take 6.25 and break it into two equal multiply jumps, meaning multiplicative jumps? Okay, be careful. How can you take 6.25 and then break that number into two jumps that are equal, but you're multiplying? Be careful. That's different than if you are adding. So what do we think? How do we do that? Do you know the math behind that? You do know it. You might not. Oh, what'd you say? So you are very close, Austin. Dividing 6.2 in half gives us an additive jump, meaning I would know what to add both times. What do you think, Spencer? What do we have to do? Guess and check. Guess and check works well. But does anybody remember what this symbol is? Square root. So let's do this in our calculator. The square root undoes a power, which means it undoes the multiplication step. So I'm going to be doing a lot with our calculator today, just so you can see it. So to get the square root button, you have to hit second x squared. It's second blue x squared, so it looks like this. Second, there's your square root sign, and I'm going to do 6.25. Now next year, you guys are going to have to memorize what's known as the perfect squares. 625 is a perfect square. So 6.25 is a perfect square. What times what gives you 625? Oh, 25. But this is in decimals. So we know, now I'm going to use my blue because I know my little jump is 2.5. Okay. I want you guys to fill in the rest of this table. Fill in the blanks in the table. So in order to find a little jump, you got to do what's known as roots. Square roots, cube roots, fourth roots. Okay. All right, I have one piece of my table left, and that is the very top piece. How am I going to find that piece of my table? Divide. Again, oh my gosh, there's that thing called working backwards again. So I'm going to take a step back, and I'm going to divide by 2.5. So 12.5 divided by 2.5 is 5. Now, I used orange as my starting point. So take your other color and highlight it. Now you guys can see, oh, I can see my multiplier and I can see my starting point. Now let's put this together. What is it you're expected to do? What is the question asking? Write the equation. So I'm going to write this two different ways so you guys can see how you can use your color to kind of help you find where everything is at. And there it is. This is what you're expected to do tomorrow. Can you find the equation? Now again, I know people are like, I could have done that problem in like 3 minutes. I got it. But remember, these notes are meant to last a while. We're taking our time for a reason, okay? Okay. What happens though when the way the information is presented is different? Meaning, it's now given to you in graph form. The question is the same. Can you write the equation, but this time the information is presented as a graph? Oh, Jacob, I love what's on your paper. What are you writing on your paper right now? Make a table. Thank you. Tomorrow, you walk in, it's set up in test formation, your brain starts to freeze, and you're going to be like, Mrs. O'Day, Mrs. Telfa, I don't know what this is too confusing. And all we're going to say to you is, oh, make a table. You'll be fine, just make a table. That's the only hint we're going to give you over and over again. So let's make a table. What information goes into our table? Well, what is this point right here?
7,
0, 7. Hopefully my color coding helped you. That's orange. That is our starting point, and it's exactly as Spencer said. It is 0, 7. Okay. I'm going to color that orange. Now, do we know our first point?
No.
Do we know the second point?
No.
Oh, but we know the third point. It's 56. Okay, time to see how you guys strategize this. What do you think the multiplier is? Now, I'm going to show you the math behind finding it, but for right now, I want you just to experiment. How are you going to find the multiplier? Mrs. O'Day and I will both have amnesia tomorrow. We're gonna be like, what, exponential? So if you ask us a question, the only thing we'll be able to say is make a table and a multiplier. That's really the only thing we're gonna be good for tomorrow. So, but you will have these notes. Oh, okay. You're so close, but be careful. How many jumps are you taking? Oh, yeah. All right. So Leah has discovered something. She said, wait a minute. I know that the big jump is 8. But that's the big jump. I need to break this into how many little pieces? 1, 2, 3. So, does anybody know how to do this on your calculator?
Square root of 3.
Close. It'll be called the cube root of 3.
Yeah.
I gotta break 8 into 3 multiplicative chunks. So, here's how you do it in your calculator. All right, here we go. First thing you have to do is you have to type in a 3. You have to tell your calculator, I need the third root. Then it's second caret. So second caret is going to be how you press that. So second caret. Now notice the difference. You get this weird X here. So in geometry, you're going to have to find 4th root, 5 roots, 6 roots. And that little X tells you you can make whatever root you want. So for example, what's the cube root or the 5th root of 32? What number times itself 5 times gives you 32? That's what you got to do. Yep, and so I'll put in what is the cube root of 8, which means what number times itself 3 times gives us 8, and it's 2. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, so the cube root is 2. So now I know my multiplier. Now, at this point, you don't have to, but if you're like me, I got to fill in blanks. I'm a little OCD like that, so I fill in the rest of my table. Now I can write my equation. Okay? So my equation is y equals, my starting point is 7, my multiplier is 2. My multiplier is 2, and my starting point is 7, and there it is. Huh. Okay. So far, all we've done is ask you what the multiplier is. We've just given you a table full of numbers. We've just given you a graph with numbers, but we haven't really put much meaning behind it, okay? So what happens when you get the meaning now? Oh, yep, we're getting there, okay? So, okay, be careful. We're going to talk about it. Before you write it, be careful. The last but the best piece. What happens if the information you are given is now in a situation? Meaning it's no longer in table format or graph format. Well, Mrs. O'Day and I, our favorite speech tomorrow will be make a table. We've already made you the table, so you don't have to make it, that's given. If you would like highlighters, please let us know, we'll get you some. Because when I do problems like this, I like to highlight things that go together. So, you're going to buy a car as an investment. and you have a choice of 3 different cars. Now, our book cannot use brand names, okay? That's why you're gonna see weird names, but they mean the same thing. So, the first car you could buy is a 2010 Honda Concord. It sells for $27,000 and it depreciates at 6% per year. Whoa, let's step back. A year from now, you're gonna wanna remember what this word means. What does depreciate mean?
Loses.
Loses. So somewhere up here, make yourself a note.
1966.
Okay, make yourself a note. Depreciate means to decrease. You're losing money. Now, before we start filling out the tables and doing all of these pieces, again, a year from now, you're going to have to remind yourself, oh, this is in percentage form. This is a little bit different than the front. So how do you find a multiplier in percentage form? Now, percents are always out of what? 100. How do you write 100% as a decimal number?
0.1.
Oh, you're close. So think about, you take 100% and you divide by 100. What do you get? 1. So you have 2 choices. Your multiplier is going to be 100% or 1 plus an extra interest rate, or it's going to be the 100% minus your interest rate. Those are your only 2 choices for the multiplier. What's going on inside that? So I'm going to buy the 2010 Honda Concord for $27,000 and it depreciates at 6%. Am I going to use this first one or the second one for my multiplier? Second one. I'm losing 6%. So above this, I want you guys to write this. Now, what is how do I write 6% as a decimal?
You'd write it as 0.94.
Oh, so
Oh,
that's your
6%
multiplier.
as a
Yes.
decimal?
Yeah.
Oh, so you put 0.6.
Yes. What happens if I put 0.6?
It's wrong.
Yeah, what is that? If I put
60.
60. So watch that. And I'm going to do exactly what Kellen said, because when I take 100% minus 6%, I get 94%. But now I know my multiplier is 94%, or when we multiply, it's always by 0.94. You have to use your decimal. So what I'm going to have you guys do is please build in your table, do your multiplier of 0.94, but just go to year 5, okay? And you can round to the nearest decimal. So your multiplier is 0.94, and I'm going to circle my zeros. My zeros are orange. Those are my starting points. Story problems are always given your starting point, okay? All right, fill in, round to the nearest penny, stop at year 5. Now, if the value of my Concord, my lovely car here, if it's depreciating, what should happen to the numbers in my table? Should be going down. That is a really good check. A lot of times students, they start to panic during an exam and they just start making mistakes. Stop and think about, my table should be going down. That's a really quick check to see if you're even in the right direction. You would be surprised how many times students will multiply by that 1.06. Their table will be going up. The next day we hand it back to them and they're like, why did I do that? And we're like, we don't know why you did that, okay? All right. We now know our starting point and our multiplier. So we're ready to write our equation. So whenever you get a table and you're asked to find the nth term in the table, down here where it says n, that's a fancy way of saying, what is the equation? I can put in anything I want for x, what's that equation? So here's what our equation looks like. Okay, we have y equals 27,000. We are losing 6%, so our multiplier is 0.94, and I'm raising it to the x power. Now, I don't want to put a bunch of numbers into my table to get the 10th term. So how can I use my equation to jump to the 10th year? Kellen, how am I going to do that?
So you put in to the calculator like normal.
Yes.
Like how it's written, and then for the x, you just go caret 10.
Caret 10, I love that. All right, so let's do exactly what Kellen said. You're going to type into your calculator exactly this, okay? So it'll look like 27,000 parentheses, okay, 0.94, carats, you got to remember the caret, raised to that 10th power. Round it to the nearest penny. This is Jenny. No, he's not. Okay, all right, bye. Okay, so when I hit enter, oh, I get 14,542. Oh, how many pennies do I have? Will I have 60 pennies or 61?
61.
Yeah, 61. Remember, this is the pennies. I look to the right. If the number to the right is 5 or above, I round up. If it's 4 or less, I stay the same. So this one is going to be $14,542.61. Okay. Let's take a look at the second choice. The second choice, I just like this name. It's a 2010 Cadillac Escalade. And it depreciates, it sells for $39,000 and it depreciates 22.5%. Oh, 22.5%. So if you are struggling with turning a percent into a decimal, please make yourself a note. Okay, I have 22.5%. How do I turn that into a decimal? Well, in your calculator, you are dividing. This is a percent to a decimal. So think about using that and see if you can fill in that middle table. Right above it, put what your multiplier is, okay? There you go. Yep. So use that multiplier and fill in the whole table.
So this one would be for this one?
Yes,
Okay.
well, so now, yeah, because you're losing.
Yeah,
So
it'd be
which one of those are you going to use?
negative.
Yes. So now that you remember, oh, how do I turn a percent to a decimal? I'm going to come up here. I know I'm losing 22.5%, so I'm keeping 77.5%. So again, use your multiplier and fill in your table. Okay, see what you got. Again, just go to 5. Well, it's easy now, but maybe not then. Yes. We're good. So that's what I'm gonna have you do. I'm gonna have you fill in this one. You're losing 22.5% a year, so what's your multiplier gonna be? Oh, so we've talked. Okay, so you can fill out middle one in. I'm not gonna write it in quite yet.
So would this
You
one
get to do it.
be 7?
And then I'll move on.
Or do you want? Also do 7?
Yep.
Okay.
You got it. Excellent. Thank you. I was like, oh, it's good news. Okay. So let's do. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Very good. So now, see if you can use that to find your.
Yeah, we do like the same thing, right?
Yeah. Yes. Now see if you can write the equation and do your 10.
How do you do the carrot thing again?
So the carrot, so you're gonna type it in, you're gonna put it in exactly like this.
Okay.
Except for where you see the F, you're gonna
So,
put carrot.
we're gonna do 7, then 5, carrot 10.
Mhm.
Like that? Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
there you go. I want you guys to look at your tables.
Wait, it
here.
went up.
No, be careful, that's 3,000.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so look at your two tables. I'm not gonna put my table up here yet. But if you bought this car as an investment, meaning in a few years you're gonna sell it and you're hoping to make, maybe, you're not gonna make all your money back, but you're hoping to make a little bit, some of it back, which car is a better deal in the long run?
Concord.
The Concord, our lovely Fonda, not the Cadillac, okay? Because the Concord is keeping 94% of its value every year, where this one is only keeping 77.5% of its value every year, okay? All right, last one, and some of you got it, which is great, but I want to make sure we have a discussion. Now, some cars are known as, they're kind of like classics. Yes, they're classics. And so what happens if you bought a 1967 Ford Mustang for $15,000?
Collector's
It
item.
is a collector's item and it appreciates. Ooh, new word. So what does this mean? Appreciate. Yeah. Okay, Leah's giving me the sign. Yes. So again, I'm gonna make myself a note. Appreciating means to grow. Okay. So I want you guys to think about what that means for your last home. You're appreciating in value, which means you're growing in value. So think about what's your multiplier and fill it in. And then we'll tell you what comes next. Excellent,
And
excellent.
then this would turn to be
So-
1.10, right?
So be careful. It's 10%.
So it'd be 10.
Yes, just 1.10. Yes, okay, fill in that table. Fill in the whole table. Love it. Yep. So on this one, you're just gonna be 1 plus the 0.1. So your multiplier is 1.1. You are thinking ahead, which I like. Okay, now how do you get your multiplier? So make sure you fill in this whole part of the table. Fill in your 10 and your equation to that one. So what if you multiply by to get that 500? Okay, nice. Make sure you write that one down. Fabulous. Okay, when you multiply by, you know that, we're gonna turn them in and submit them. We're gonna upload them today. Nice. Okay. Wow. It's amazing when there's just a few open desks.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Ability to walk around.
I know.
Is 100 times
Oh my
different.
gosh. Our third and fourth hour are packed.
Every seat is taken.
It took us a lot longer to get through this. So be careful, you don't have to come out of 1.9, you're gaining 10%, you're only getting So looking at these guys, oh, gotta do my green for this one. The resting. So remember, if you are multiplying by a number greater than 1, your table should be increasing. And you really need to make sure that you got that. Okay? Ooh, and I will get my computer out here. Because we're not quite done yet. So remember guys, the point of today is really trying to help you guys understand how to take notes. At some point, like when you get to college, you get to do this part by yourself. Like the professor isn't going to make these notes for you. Like that's what you have, that's kind of where high school is leading you. Mrs. O'Day and I, we're going to help you with this and we're going to show you how to set it up. But at some point, you have to create one of these for yourself. Okay, that's the hard part about moving on in high school and college. But remember, we want you guys really to have the ability to go back, open up your folder and be like, what did I do March 29th, 2021 for exponential functions? But you don't have one of these. So how do we do this? Well, you guys have been building it digitally. So if you have your phone, okay, or your computer, a lot of times when we did our e-portfolio, a lot of you needed your both, so it's okay to get both out. All right. So let's take a look at how this is going to work. I'm going to go back to Algebra 1. All right. If you have been in my class, or Mrs. O'Day in my class here, we have been building our e-portfolio all year. If you haven't, don't worry, we'll help you. But what you need to do is you're going to take a picture of this. So if you have Canvas already on your phone, just use your phone for this part. You're going to submit it right here. Now, before you guys start taking pictures, I have not been crazy psycho teacher on your submissions yet. That's because we haven't had a chance to all talk about it. When you take a picture of your notes, should I be able to see the floor and your shoe? No, I don't want to see the floor and I don't want to see your shoes. Okay, when you take it, should it be like tilted this way and I can only, it's not a Snapchat, like only half of the paper? No. So when you guys take your picture of your notes, you need to make sure it's on your desk and I can see everything and it's clear. I don't want to see the floor, I don't want to see your shoe. I need to see all of it, not just the top half, okay? So take your picture and you're going to hit Math Folder Notes, Exponential. That's where you're going to submit it, okay? If you need us to take a picture for you, if you need that kind of help, we'll get that for you, okay? And then you're not quite done yet. So
Do you want us to take the pictures?
yes,
Yes.
both front and back. You're gonna submit it also to your e-portfolio. Okay. We're gonna give everybody a second to get it uploaded, and then we're gonna remind you about what to do next. Okay, so you're not quite done. How did it submit it? Okay, did you have Canvas? Go. And it'll ask you for another file and you can do it, okay? If you need to stand up and get a good picture, you can.
Are you still in the pictures?
Yeah, as long as I can read it, yeah.
So then
You
how
can
do we
read
get-
it.
I can read that.
So
Oh my gosh.
I think you're gonna need your computer to get to the e-portfolio.
Yeah, the e-portfolio we'll get to. So, well, hang on guys, we're gonna make sure everybody submits it. Okay, so you're gonna, so do you have your laptop? Okay, so I'm gonna have you get, once you submit it, I'll get your laptop though. I don't know where to submit it. It's okay, I'll show you. Have you already submitted the picture?
It's like not submitted.
Oh, okay, so
Oh,
we're gonna.
there
do it.
Yeah.
See, it's celebrated. Yay, nice job.
Go your camera. Now, have you already taken it? Okay, So then you just choose,
Will that picture be on my
and you might have to do
computer?
it.
Mhm, yeah, it'll be there, once it says.
Oh, so we just get on computers without this?
Yeah, to, get your E4, if you've already submitted the assignment and got the
Now,
little,
it will show where you're gonna go.
then, yeah, to get to the e-portfolio, you're gonna wanna get on your computer.
So once you leave June 4th, when the semester ends, and you leave Algebra 1, you cannot access this submission, okay? Meaning I can still see your notes, but
yeah,
you won't
sorry.
be able to. So we want to make sure that when you get to geometry next year, you have access to your folder. We're just doing it digitally. So once you've submitted, you have to come to your lovely picture here. I don't have a nice picture, okay? So you're gonna come to your account and you're gonna choose your e-portfolio, okay? You're gonna choose e-portfolio.
Okay,
Do you have yours?
great.
Okay, so now a lot of you, once you click on e-portfolio, you might have other things for other classes, but you should have one that's called math folder. If you don't, let us know and we're gonna stop right now. We'll help you with that. Okay, so you're gonna hit create e-portfolio,
Exponential.
call it math folder. You're gonna make it public so I can see it in the day. You make it. Okay. Anybody else need help making their e-portfolio, your math
Organize your
folder?
sections. You're gonna call it exponential.
Do I need to add one?
Yep, add one.
Exponential. Yeah, I can send it. You want me to take one of it? Okay. Get that for you. Okay, once you have made your math folder, remember your math folder has like sections in it, and you have to organize those sections. So you're gonna hit organize sections, and one of them is going to be called exponential. Okay, so you're gonna get an exponential.
And you,
Did you get it? Okay, so hit math folder. And then you're gonna organize your section.
just put
You're gonna add a section and you're gonna call it exponential.
And then we're done?
No, then you gotta make sure you upload it to
That's
your
what I
folder.
thought. Okay.
And I can show you, can you take some pictures of it?
I gotta get Shannon's picture here.
What's up, lady? Okay, so you're gonna download those pictures. Make sure you have them,
So you're gonna done editing.
and then you're gonna go to your assignment
Folder right there.
You're gonna
Click
submit
on it. Now
assignment,
you don't want it in home,
and you're
you
gonna
want it in the folder called exponential.
and then you're gonna get your two.
Okay. Yep, so you're gonna come down here. Scroll down, right there.
Oh.
And you're gonna click on that, just anywhere in the words. You don't want it in home,
Yeah.
you want it in
So did you,
exponential. There you go.
did you put it, go back home?
Is that it?
Yep, you are done. So where is your assignment?
I don't know, some of them I can't, it's not like reading it right away.
If you don't mind me looking at your stuff.
Am I done?
Yep, if you submitted that today. Let's bring home for a second. So you need to charge your computer.
Now, when I grade these, I'm really looking for use of color, I'm usually looking for detail. I'm gonna start grading them a little bit more than I normally have in the past. Okay, so good question. If you think you're going to lose your note page between now and tomorrow, I highly recommend turning it in because you get to use it tomorrow, okay? If you think you can hang on to it and not lose it and bring it tomorrow, is it good?
Yeah, I located it, I'll put it in your folder for you. Really. You're welcome.
I think it is.
Don't get that. Let me know, okay?
All right, CBVI students, please hold on to your notes and be sure to use them for the short cycle tomorrow. If you have any questions about creating any of the e-portfolio or anything that we did today, please reach out. We want to make sure that you have the same supplies and resources for your future in classes of geometry, algebra 2, and so on and so forth. So I guess this concludes our class for today. Again, if you have any questions, make sure that you're reaching out. Remember, all review previews are going to close here shortly. So again, be working on those in as well as preparing for the short cycle tomorrow. Have a great day. We will see you later.
We keep them in a folder too.